I'm going to show you how I use this Jumbo pencil template. This is for the my first pencils for your pre-K or kindergartners. I've already saved my or copied my font. Now I'm going to paste it. I'm going to move it up here so I can work with it. And what I do is I just copy how the buyer has requested the name to be spelled straight from the order. And then I'm going to come over here to font, use October compressed Devanagari. And then I'm going to come up to object, convert to path, object, make compound path. And then I like to do my engrave colors blue. And then once I have that switched to blue, I make the font size 0.231 on all of my names, every single one of them. You can see here, I'm going to zoom in on here just so you can see this name here is also, oops, I've already grouped it. Let me ungroup it. This name here is also, if I click on it, it's 0.231 as well. And this one is 0.231. The reason why it is smaller is because the J throws off the height just a tad. But I'm going to leave it 0.231. And then I have everything separate. If you click on all the rectangles, they're all separate. And the reason I do that is it's easier for me to come up here, click on this little box, and I'm going to center the name in the square, in the rectangle. But you can see because of that J, it sits a little bit higher up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the name and do 2 arrows down, just so it centers it a little bit better. And then I do that on all of the names. There's probably an easier way to do it, but that's how I do it. I have this name, Emma Kate, up here just as a guide for lining up all the rest of your names that are going to follow. You can delete it out, put another name up there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this line here. These little lines here, they're all, I have them colored differently. They're purple. We're going to hide those, and I'll explain that in a minute when we take it over into our laser software. It's just as a guide when you're in your design. I'm in Silhouette Studio Business Edition. This area here is going to be the eraser on your pencil, and this guide here is for you to not put the name too close so your name doesn't engrave onto the eraser area. And then I like to leave, you can see some spacing that I have here so it's not too close. Then what I do is I take all the names and then I come up here again and I align them so they're all aligned to the right, so they're all even. And if I like that, I go ahead and select the whole thing and I group it together and file. Since I have other work on here that I don't want to save, I'm going to do save selection. Oops. File. Actually, no. We're going to do file, save selection, save the hard drive. And then I'll name it whatever I want. Since I've already done that, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And now I'm going to upload it into Glowforge. Look for my file. Okay. Make sure you're holding on to everything because remember, everything is now, oops, undo. Okay. Make sure you're not resizing anything when you're pulling it up. Okay, so now you can see I had just done some pencils prior, and you can see that here in the background. I use not cardstock. I use cardboard. and I make sure to pin down all the sides, bottom, top, because you don't want anything to move at this point. So right now we are going to cut the jig. So I ignore the engrave, I ignore the little score lines there, and then all I'm going to focus on is cutting out the jig, and I'm going to cut it. Since it's cardstock, we're going to use, I use 180, 60, and you want to test out your cardstock, not the cardstock, the cardboard, because it may be thicker, thinner, and you don't want to catch your laser on fire. So when it's cutting the cardboard, I'm watching it like a hawk. Okay, so then I go ahead and I cut it. Laser does its thing, it cuts it out. Once it's cut, then you're going to lift the lid, take out all the cut the rectangles. You're not going to move anything. Then you're going to insert your pencils, and then you're going to come back to your laser, ignore. Now you're going to ignore what you just cut, and you're going to come back up to your letters, names, and you're going to go manual. I do 1000, 100, and then I come down here and change my focus height to manual and hit 0.123, return. And then you're going to make sure you use uncertified material and collect that here. And we're going to ignore the score lines here. We don't want that to cut. That was just our guide. And so now you have manual setting for where it's going to engrave, and then you're going to go ahead and press print. You've not moved the jig. You've not done any of that. It's going to focus, and don't mind if anything changes in the view. If you've not moved your template, everything's going to engrave perfectly. Hope that helps.